Record. Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 30th FESIG meeting. We have very special guests with us today, and I would like to start with the PowerPoint presentation so we can then proceed with the meeting proceedings. Now, I would like to do a screen share so we can see the PowerPoint. Right. I must say that the last two meetings was chaired by Fres and James, and I thank you so much for chairing the meeting so well and making it flow so smoothly. Well, we have the recordings. Those who had not been able to avail themselves for the last two meetings, please click onto our websites and click on the links and the YouTube. We have a YouTube channel as well, and you can catch up with it. So welcome to FESIG's 30th meeting. I don't have to introduce FESIG anymore, so most of us are, well, regulars. We have just a guest here who is new, Grace. Welcome to FESIG, Grace, and it's so good to have you here. I would like to have you introduce yourself in a moment, but I just want to do this first. If you go to our website, you know that FESIG is a free energy special interest group, and it's a platform for all who are bringing free energy to free humanity, basically. So you just explore the site and you see what we are all about. It's a neutral platform, and we don't take sides. So anybody who has this mission of bringing free energy, healing, or anything that is to do with freeing humanity, you're most welcome to be on this platform. Right. Now, I've done that, number one, on the meeting agenda. I did a presentation of FESIG very quickly, and then new members. Okay, Grace, can I have you introduce yourself? Just a quick introduction, very briefly. Okay. Are you ready, Grace? Would you like to speak up?
Actually, we'd like to speak. We're really getting tired waiting.
Grace, I can't hear you.
It's ridiculous.
What?
Grace, if you're not ready, we'll do that a little later, okay? Are you speaking up? I can't hear you.
I don't know if Grace wants to speak right now, okay?
Okay, it's all right. Thanks, Aurora, for speaking.
I think she would rather be a silent listener.
Okay, so now a report of the FESIG's last meeting.
Unlike Bill and I, who would like to speak.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, no, I just want, usually this is our style of doing things. When we have new members, we want them to say very quickly where they're from and what's their interest and all that. It's just a getting to know each other session, right? Well, okay. We will move on.
Positions where they can't do that.
Mm-hmm. It's all right. It's all right, Aurora. That's fine. Thank you. She's your guest. Yeah.
Position, you just can't do that.
We just want to know each other. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, so the report, the last meeting, I'll leave it to you to click on the video recording that's posted on the website. Okay. So you will see Bill was wonderful. Fres actually prompted him to reveal more as he was speaking about his technology, the AuroraTek, and he was talking about the vacuum and the tossing fields and all that. It's so exciting. And James actually did the introduction beautifully. Okay, so that's the report of the FESIG's last meeting, very briefly. And if you want details, just click on the YouTube. Now I would like to introduce Aurora Light. William has been introduced the last meeting, and all the introductions was written there, so I'll read it out anyway. So we have now this is just, I'm going through the agenda very quickly. When I do that, after I've done that and Bill and Aurora has done their talk, then we will then move on. That will be for about 45 minutes to an hour. Then we'll move on to Fres and whoever's on the panel right now, Etienne, and James possibly will be joining us later. And then that's it, and that's the meeting. Then we adjourn to the next meeting on the 15th of March. Right, so I'm going to stop sharing screen now, and I will introduce Aurora, our guest speaker. Of course, is Bill officially, and then Aurora is with him officially here today. And Bill, who is known as Dr. Whodini, I got a visit of Arizona, who has more than 25 years of experience as an embedded computer hardware and software engineering consultant to companies such as Motorola, Honeywell, General Electric, Bendix, Rockwell International, Mega Trucks, Cummins Diesel, etc. He explained the key to harnessing free energy from the vacuum. He also wrote a paper on Newtonian torsion physics. He is CEO and President of the AuroraTek Incorporation, a company that is pioneering advanced exotic energy technologies and sustainable green holistic community lifestyles. And he's the president of INTALEK Incorporated, specializing in research and development of free energy, antigravitational, time travel devices and systems. Now, I have been urging people to visit auroratek.com, and there are links in the site. And also intalek.com for more information before joining in the panel for the question and answer sessions. So I hope that's done. And besides, Bill is no stranger because he was the last speaker for the last meeting. And Aurora Light herself, whose namesake has been taken for the company AuroraTek and the technology, is here personally, and she will speak with Bill. Aurora is a renowned intuitive metaphysician, an expert on Trespasso, the ancient art of remembering and seeing past lives. She produces and hosts vortexnetworknews.com. Now, folks, I have been listening to her radio show. It's very interesting. Please visit her radio show, vortexnetworknews.com. Visit AuroraTek as well, and you will see what's up here. Well, Aurora has written a book, she co-authored, Prepare for the Landings, right? You can get this book from her website. Is it on Amazon.com as well, Aurora?
Yes, it is, but I love it when they go to my website because then I actually make some money.
Wonderful. Aurora shares her encounters with benevolent human appearing extraterrestrials. Her life saved by divine intervention and other unique life-changing supernatural encounters. Aurora's profound experiences while growing up in the Detroit area and years of study lead to her career in metaphysics. She found herself affecting the outcome of many events with her mind. So Aurora is certainly very, very, very amazing with her work with Bill, because I think it's very important that we have the combination of spirituality and science in order to progress in the next stage in humanity's evolution. Right, so here we are. We have quite a team here. And over the 2 decades, Aurora has traveled through North America and Great Britain, openly sharing her knowledge with thousands of light workers at conferences and places of higher learning, and has written articles for many magazines. She has been a guest on numerous radio and television shows throughout the US, Canada, and Great Britain, and featured on many of BBC's programs. She produces and hosts vortexnetworknews.com. and specializes in views, news, interviews with attitude. So there we are. I've introduced Aurora and Bill.
Okay.
Now
well,
we welcome.
All right, I might
Bill.
as well just retire. You've said it all.
So Bill, there you are. The microphone is yours. The stage is yours.
Well, thank you so much. You know, it started off when I was a little kid and where there was nothing to do much in my neighborhood, so I had to make up a lot of games. And one of them was cloud busting. And, so I thought, well, I'm going to try and bust this cloud and that cloud. Don't ask me even who ever told me I could even do it, because nobody did, believe me. So anyway, I'd lay there on the grass and look up and bust clouds one after another after another. And then I thought, well, hey, if I can do that, there's no telling what else I could do. If I can figure out what I can do, maybe I can do other things, So I went on what I called my truth search, and it took me a lot of places, and I met a lot of people, and I decided to take the best, leave the rest. I became what I would comfortably call a New Age Christian, which is, in other words, somebody who believes in the Christed higher hierarchy, along with the rules and the disciplines that come with being involved in that religion. But I would call myself a New Age Christian in that I believe in integrating into the doctrine dietary and meditation and yoga and things like that help people to totally harmonize body, mind, and spirit. And, I think it's a body, mind, spirit affair. Lots of times you'll see these Christians, waddling out of the pancake house, after a 400,000 calorie breakfast, after church. And you wonder how that's honoring the temple that they live in of God, So it's like a body, mind, spirit thing. And that's why with AuroraTek, I told Bill when he was developing the technology, you must, Bill, make it bio-enhancing and at least biocompatible. And he came up with bio-enhancing technology, because it's one thing to buy a Tesla car and to jump into it and go for your 250 miles until it's time to recharge it. And then all of a sudden you jump out and you realize you're exhausted. You're exhausted because the EMF, just zaps your energy. So with our technology, you won't be exhausted. You'll be energized instead. So that's very important. I like, Crystal, I like your bar behind your desk there. That's very good. Now, do you have anyone to pour? We can't hear you, by the way. Just letting you know, we can't hear you. Can't hear you, darling. Can't hear you on your end. Now, when you put on your microphone, maybe we can.
I said I'm a guest here. I don't touch those stuff, so it's.
You don't touch it?
No,
no.
It's not my home. I'm a guest.
I thought that's what made you so happy.
Oh.
All right. Well, anyway, I'd like to talk about technology tonight and how we cannot go into a golden age on planet Earth with still burning fossil fuels, fouling up our air, our water, our skies. We can't do it. We've got to have a golden age technology to bring in the golden age. We can't go back to caveman era. It's just not going to work with all these people on Earth. You have to have a high level of technology, a very high level of technology in order to have a society that's clean and healthy. And, when you're blasting carbon monoxide poisoning into the air all the time, it's not really a good atmosphere to bring your children up in or to have a long life in. So, and we're not going to all be able to live in the country. And even the country's fouled up with chemicals and, all these chemicals they've been using in farming for the last 75 years. So it's time for a change. Everybody knows it. Everybody wants it. Everybody's been looking for it. And now we can say here at AuroraTek that we can announce that we actually have it. And Bill will talk to you about this technology and how he developed it and what we can do with it. We can start off by putting in light bulbs in municipalities, on streets. They don't have to pay electric bills anymore in the future. We can start with using it to condition our water. Because when we restructure our water and turn it into what we call here at AuroraTek vitality water is a nanocluster that your cells can absorb better and can cleanse the cells. So the Vitality Water is our first issuance of product, along with our Fast Grow plant technology and our Vitality Pad for charging up people, your groceries, animals, when you're taking a long plane trip or a car trip, or sitting around the on your sofa or chair. You can have this behind you, and you're going to notice a difference with it. I noticed within a few minutes a huge change in the way I felt. So I'm just wondering here, can everybody hear us okay today?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear
Yeah,
you
very good.
Okay, any questions
Thank
about
you
anything
so
I've
much.
covered so far?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about why you're speaking, but without moving the mouth.
What was that?
Excuse me?
Well, I don't see your mouth moving at all.
Well, that's because that's just a photograph.
That's the video.
Oh, the camera's on Bill Alek.
Okay. So
Thank God I don't look like that.
Okay. So the camera is on someone else. Okay.
No, I'm not one of these science chicks that's super ugly.
I was just wondering.
All right. So, any questions?
I must explain, okay, that we did have Patty Brassard as one of the guest speakers in the past, and
yes.
Patty was he's what do you call that? You know, he's both male and female. He's got a male voice, but it's a female. Yeah, and androgynous. Yeah, that's it.
Can't you pick a team?
Say that again. Pick a team. Go on then. Well, any questions from the panel? Thank you, Aurora, for your introduction. It's so interesting what you do, and you did such a superb introduction to the work that you do.
One of my jobs is to raise money so Bill can do what he does. And that's what I do. I'm in charge of investor relations and special projects and sales. And I open up salespeople all over the country and all over the world, and engineers, physicists, patent attorneys, other kinds of people who are involved in technology have come on board with us because they can see what we're doing is fantastic. Bill's got the physics down, he's got the software engineering, the hardware engineering, and we're just going full steam ahead to bring this vitality products to the public. Now, as I said, we're doing a water restructuring. That's one of our first things. You just put this little piece of technology that's embedded into the water stand that sits in a crock pot from Costco, sits on this water stand. And it's got our technology built right under it. And that conditions the water in a matter of a few minutes. It makes all the difference in the way the plants receive the water. We can tell instantly after a few days how happy they are with it than without it. So we began drinking it ourselves about 6 weeks ago, and we're already noticing our joints are looser, more mobility, less pain, better sleep, better energy, better water absorption on our skin. So we're very happy. We're filing a patent on this today and tomorrow, and then we're gonna, when we get back from the aerospace conference called AeroDef in Fort Worth, Texas, is next week. We're leaving for that to set up our booths over there. Bill will be speaking there. He's got a speaking spot there. We're so pleased he was chosen to be a speaker there because he's going to be speaking in front of all the outer space people who are interested in this kind of thing. So we'll be introducing our Vitality Pad, And we're thinking that astronauts and pilots are really going to like our Vitality Pad when they're traveling and you know, in all that EMF field. It's going to structure that field around them and create a field effect that's quite impressive. And then so then this summer we're going to both be at the Coffee Conference. That's a conference on future energy, and that is held in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and also at the Extraordinary Technology Conference. It's held simultaneously in Albuquerque. And so you get two really conferences going on, and you can buy the videos of them. They're very reasonably priced, and you get extraordinary hotel rates that they've negotiated there. Steve Ellswick has negotiated there in Albuquerque, and it's just a great conference. You get to meet all the speakers. There's lots of participation, and everybody hangs out afterwards every night and socializes. So you really get to meet the speakers. You don't just get to hear them and they run out and, you know, like they do at most conferences. They actually hang around with the people for a few days and interact with everybody. So it's a very special conference that's been going on now for a couple decades. And Dr. Whodini is awesome presenter. He does a great PowerPoint presentation that's fantastic. In fact, you can order his past presentations from AuroraTek if you're interested, and he will send you a copy of them out.
So could we have a quick review of the PowerPoint presentation, like going through it very quickly?
Yes, very good. Yeah, so
you can
those
do
of
a
you who
share
want
screen,
to
you
have a
know?
copy.
Yeah, like what I did a share screen just now while you spoke, Aurora, about the conferences, yeah? So at the bottom of the screen, you just...
Dr. Whodini is like to talk to you now. He's got a lot to share with you.
Wonderful. Yeah, Bill, Dr. Whodini, you
Yes.
could actually share pictures and diagrams and glimpses of your PowerPoint presentation by clicking on the share screen spot at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Okay, like what I did just now. I showed an example that I showed your website just now when Aurora was talking about conferences.
Screen.
Just click on the green share screen thingy at the bottom.
At the bottom of the page, the bright green?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And then there's another share screen button. Just click on that. That pops up at the bottom.
Oh, another one on that the gray bottom there.
Okay, share computer sound.
Yeah, maybe.
Optimize full screen video clip.
Meanwhile, I would like to say thank you, Grace, for your introduction on the chat. And Etienne has, thank you, Etienne has scanned and realized that she's the theta soul from beyond the universe. Wow. Well, we are honored to have you here with us. Thank you.
You know, she's one of our big investors, and we appreciate her support so much, and others like her who have come forward. We wouldn't exist without your support out there. Oh. We can't do it without you.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know you have your association with Aurora, with Ashta of Ashta Command. And I had my life's reading read by Michael Elijon.
Yes.
So your past partner. Yeah, and it was such a wonderful reading, and it really motivated me and inspired me to do more for humanity. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'd like you to do a session with me. Most people do a session with Michael, and then they get a session with me.
All right.
And then they get a crystal to activate themselves even further and go on the KM to cleanse their blood. And the KM's a fantastic blood cleanser. I've been on it for about 3 decades.
Wonderful. Ashta actually came in when Michael started doing my reading, and he was like, he was bowing to me and saying, you know, you don't have to be here, but you volunteered. And
that's right. Don't complain. You're the one who got mine for it.
Oh, it was so wonderfully motivating.
A lot of people wanted to come here, you know. There was a huge crowd that wanted to come down into Earth and Body, but a lot of them we didn't feel were strong enough to be able to survive it. And a lot of them we didn't feel would be able to finish their mission down here in one piece. So those of us who do come down here, we have to be strong and we have to be focused, and we really have to know ourselves pretty well.
Precisely.
Because otherwise we're going to get beaten up pretty bad.
I know. So we have special people like Etienne, James,
And
I mean, the whole lot of us are. Ron is so knowledgeable about almost everything.
All of the most powerful souls are on this planet right now for what's happening here.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, up until recently, there was only 52 souls from beyond this universe that are in this universe, and all of them are here, all incarnated except 2. But it's like we have several right here.
Well, it's my understanding that the Federation chooses who gets to incarnate here on Earth. That's simple. And if you're chosen to be allowed to incarnate here, you know, you do have to lay a mission plan out before you incarnate.
Yeah,
and then you have to try and be true to that mission. And if they see you getting off course, they will let you be taken out.
That we could organize a session where we can have a discussion about what's going on. Really.
Thank God, they're the galactic police. Basically, is what they do. They make sure that, you know, the divine plan is upheld and the rules are abided by.
Right, Aurora. I actually really would like to have a private session with you, Etienne, me, James, and a few others who are into the beyond the matrix.
Well, I'm available for privates with people. I usually do it one-on-one. And, you know, Dr. Whodini and I are very busy, so we don't do a lot of what we're doing right now very often because of our time schedule is just so filled up. But, you know, every once in a while we don't mind doing something like this to network with people like we're doing, and hope that it's helpful and that it takes us all in the right direction together.
Sorry, Bill, because we're onto this topic. Aurora, I mean, you must have heard of the, well, you know, the Monarch project and the secret space program that James Rink has been bringing as a disclosure.
I've been talking about it for many, many decades, yes.
Yeah, okay. I think we need to discuss the issues there at some point.
Well, you know, there's not much you can do about it. You're not on the playing field. Okay, so you're on the sidelines. You can't do a damn thing about it, basically, except for maybe talk about it a little bit and maybe alert people like Trump to the fact that we'd like him to expose it, the reality of what's really going on in outer space.
James did that, actually. James did write to Trump.
Yeah, I think that everybody needs to. And I think there is an official Mars program that's taking place that has been going on for decades. I think they've been mining it over there on Mars and mining the moon and, you know, just doing other things there. I've met people who say they were there, and I've been talking about it for 3 decades. But let's get down to the real nitty gritty here. We've got to start where we can be the most effective, which is right here on Earth. And of course, we need to let everyone know what's going on. I mean, this kidnapping of people and taking them to Mars, that's really dastardly. I mean, if you want to sign up for it, fine. If you're approached and you say, yeah, I want to go, I want to leave my wife and kids, and I want to leave everybody I know and all the comforts of Earth and go off to someplace that I don't know if I'll ever come back from and probably won't ever come back from. And, you know, I mean, if you want to do that, fine. But to be kidnapped against your will, that's disgusting. And that's been going on for decades. They've been taking doctors, engineers, all kinds of people.
Well, there are things that we can do with our mind to alter the events, and I believe that's something that you're doing, and that's something that we need to do more, to use our creative power to alter what's happening.
Well, I think we need to intervene in all situations to bring about the highest good.
Yes.
So you need to, like I asked them upstairs a couple of months ago, I said, look, we got to give California some water now, you know, it's getting really, really bad over there. Next thing you know, they don't know what to do with all the water, but, you know, it's good. You got to fill up those reservoirs. You know, the New World Order, they wanted to turn this whole planet into a desert. That he wanted to make it one big desert so they could starve us, control the water, control the food. But, you know, God has another plan for this planet. And that is, it is meant to be turned into a beautiful planet of prosperity and abundance and beauty. And we're the ones who have to help make this shift happen here.
Right. All right. Thank you, Aurora. It's so interesting talking to you, Aurora. We'll get back to you, but Bill is ready now. Bill, okay, so you did the screen share very successfully. Let's focus on you now, what you want to say about
Okay,
Aurora.
yeah, can everyone say this?
Sure. Yeah, we can see, everyone can see the screen now.
Okay, yeah, this is going to be my presentation next week.
Oh.
And I do touch on the secret space program.
James? James Rink is here.
So I'm going to have a lot of fun talking about that.
Cool.
That'll go over real big.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing talking about the secret space program.
It's no longer a secret with James bringing those disclosures.
Now we'd like to talk about that which has been classified for the last 6 decades.
And I'm just the guy to do it.
Hey, we're still alive. We might as well.
Right. Yeah, so the presentation, I have about, let's see, 22 slides. I only have 20 minutes to speak. You know, they give each speaker about 20 minutes. So, you know, I really have to move quickly. So I have a little bit less than a minute per slide.
No. Don't worry.
I actually
don't
really
worry about
like
that, Bill. You're going to have plenty of time. Okay, now this is normally a 2-hour meeting, but I can extend it 2.5 hours. And I think most of us have all ears for you anyway. I mean, you are the guest speakers today, so we extended.
Well, actually, he's going to probably shorten it a little bit for you.
Right.
So,
see, right now I'm in process of filing with the patent. Yeah, with the
he's
got to
get back to work here in a few minutes, but he's going to jam through it for you guys, and then he'll make the video available afterwards.
Yes, we're getting ready for this conference next week. So right now it's crunch time, and I have to get this provisional patent filing so we can talk about our technology.
So we can make some sales.
Yeah. we can sell something.
That would be awesome. Everybody's standing in line to buy something. So Bill will give me the price point and file the patent.
Right.
Then I'll be game on.
So the first thing I got to do is file this provisional patent.
All right, but he's going to give you
the presentation.
A little of this, yeah.
Yeah, now let's see, where is this thing at? Okay, the title, Inertial Gravitational Mass Modification for Faster Than Light Deep Space Applications. And I gave the long version of this last year at Tom Vallone's coffee conference. Okay, so the second slide, prerequisite reading. This, of course, is the Dirac equation and the sea of negative energy. And this fellow by the name of D.L. Hodson gave he wrote this brilliant paper. And it is available on my website. You can download it for free and start reading it. It was published in Infinite Energy magazine back in 2002, and it forms a theoretical basis for devices that utilize negative energy. And negative energy is actually in our provisional patents that I'll be filing here. So I'll be talking about that, how we get to negative energy. Okay, the Dirac Solution. You'll find this on the internet, the Dirac Solution. There's actually 2 solutions to the Dirac equation. You have E equals plus or minus mc squared, which of course means that you can have positive energy as well as negative energy, and it's symmetrical right around the 0 point. Okay, right around the 0 point at 0 degrees Kelvin. There you have bosons, spin zero macroparticles, also known as the Lorentz electromagnetic ether. and they consist of electron-positron pairs. And the thing is, they can only exist at 0 point. But now, wait a minute, you have this thing called superconductivity. Okay, this phenomena that occurs with electron pairing that occurs in the positive energy region, maybe at 20, 30, 40. You know, they're coming up with high temperature superconductivity all the time here. So what you have is a pair of electrons that are sitting there counter-rotating opposing magnetic field phenomena. And the counter-rotation, I discovered, is what cancels the mass component, cancels the mass. And what the opposing magnetic field phenomena does is that it produces negative energy. So you have this negative energy component above absolute zero. And that, of course, makes these Cooper pairing, this phenomena of Cooper pairing, it allows that to occur. Okay, so we have this Dirac sea of negative energy. And mainstream science today, anything below 0 degrees Kelvin just basically doesn't exist. And so you're kind of given this bizarre interpretation that negative energy is right there at 0 degrees Kelvin, but it really isn't. Negative energy is below 0 degrees Kelvin. So in other words, you're working with negative temperatures, all right? So this E equals mc squared, of course, was first introduced back in 1890, but without the negative sign. The Dirac equation, okay, energy can be positive or negative. The mass under Dirac can be positive or negative mass. 0 point is the boundary between positive and negative energy. And you have these quantum tunneling effects that occur at 0 degrees. And then, of course, you also have the same phenomena with Cooper pairing above 0 degrees Kelvin. And this quantum tunneling effect, it can only occur if that pair has a negative energy component to it, okay, that exists above 0 point. And I've been working on a very interesting paper. It's a white paper. And what I discovered when I was doing my calculations is that the electron has no volume. Okay, it's basically a spinning vortex, an empty vortex. There's no mass inside. There's no mass. It's basically a void, a shell, and that's an electron. All the charge and the mass of the electron is outside of the electron itself. So really, the only thing an electron has is surface area. And that's what I determined in my calculations here, is that the electron just has surface area but no volume. So there can be no field within the electron. There's essentially nothing there. It's just a spinning vortex of whatever. I mean, they call it energy. So it has charge. And what's interesting about charge is that it can be time reversed. You could have positive charge. Negative charge of the electron is time forward. Time reversed of charge is, of course, positive energy or positive charge. The same occurs with mass. You can have time forward mass or positive mass, or negative mass, which is time reversed. So when you look at this diagram here, the Dirac sea of negative energy, both positive and negative energy is symmetric about the 0 point axis. And you can say that the 0 point axis here is really the demarcation between dimensions. In our real 3D space, you can only have positive temperature. In this other Dirac space, and it's complex, you start working with complex numbers. So in other words, magnetic fields become complex when you do the calculation, computing field energy of complex magnetic fields. You find out that, well, the energy is negative. It calculates out to a negative number. So all the correct components of that start working. Okay, so we'll go on to the next page here. Okay, the Dirac Solution. He published his equation back in 1928. Heisenberg wrote that this was the saddest chapter of modern physics, and it remains the Dirac theory. Heisenberg also said back in 1934, I regard the Dirac theory as learned trash, which no one can take seriously. That is because of this negative energy solution. At the time, they didn't know what to do with it, all right? Because all the physicists just wanted to work with the real world, with positive energy, and that's what we're stuck with today. So they use this mathematical trick to eliminate the negative energy component. And so they introduced that back in 1934.
Well, the idea was to be able to control the whole energy realm. You know, and if you give out too much information, you can't control it.
Right.
So you gotta
all of a sudden you would have to do all these experiments involving negative energy.
When you're
it would change the whole physics model.
Yes, the whole physics model was deliberately tweaked to keep us from empowering ourselves.
Precisely, and that is what James had unearthed as well when he had his interviews with those who remembered the super soldiers.
Open to being sponsored all over the world to give talks on this and stuff. Yeah. So, you know,
they control us when they have the technology. Yeah. So that's why we set this up, so we can then, you know, unity is strength. We can succeed when we unite like this in
Well,
FESIG.
Those of you out there who would like to come into Scottsdale and, you know, come to a lab for a demonstration should get in touch with us.
Yeah, so going back to the slideshow here, characteristics of Dirac real 3D space. Well, everyone knows this. Positive energy, positive mass, time is forward. You have positive temperatures, negative space-time curvature, gravity is attractive. Characteristics of Dirac complex 3D space, which is at right angles to our real 3D space. You have negative energy, negative mass, time is reversed, negative temperatures, positive space-time curvature. In other words, gravity is repulsive. Okay, the Dirac hyperspace model. This shows, you know, how everything kind of fits together here. You have real 3D space on the right, imaginary complex space on the left, which is your negative energy. I say that from real 3D space, the complex space is not directly observable. The same thing with the time dimension. You know, we cannot see time. We know time exists because of spatial displacement.
We can't see gravity. We can't see electricity, usually.
And then Einstein's space-time, okay, how he worked out his general relativity, is really confined to only 3.5 dimensions. His general relativity can include complex space. And it's my understanding this fellow by the name of Miguel Alcubierre has done something like that. Okay, so Dirac hyperspace really, you're looking at 7 dimensions with a full dimension of time. Time can run forward as well as backwards. And the whole model here describes Dirac hyperspace. So the Dirac universe, you have these electrons and positrons. That's the Lorentz electromagnetic ether, fills all of space. The universe is basically made of 4 types of electrons. Now, this all comes out of Hodgson's paper. Everything that I'm presenting here is right there. You'll find it in Hodgson's paper. All right. So you have these 4 kinds of electrons. Positive mass is time forward. Negative mass is, of course, time reversed.
So to make a quick comment, in the work of inner alchemy that I've been doing, sometimes what I've been saying is when working with space and time, there's a vortex rotating clockwise and another vortex going below. So it kind of relates with what you're saying here about
a heliplex.
So, yeah, the more complex structure of space and time.
Heliplex is, you know, is the spiral going in both directions.
Okay. Well, that's what you have with the electron, is that one of the properties of an electron is, of course, the spin, and they relate that to angular momentum. And so, you know, that all plays into this theory as well. But the electron, when you look at the electron, it's just a hollow sphere with only surface area but no volume. That's the way it works out.
No measurable volume, let's put it that way.
Okay, so measuring Dirac hyperspace, you know, our instruments can only measure positive energy in real 3D space. So we don't really have any instrumentation that can measure anything, you know, in this Dirac hyperspace, this negative energy region. But we can look at the effects, though, that it has. We can look at the effects of devices running that utilize this negative energy space, this Dirac complex space. And we just look at the characteristics up here, the characteristics of complex space, that you have negative temperatures, so devices will run cold as opposed to hot. In our universe, our real 3D space, devices run hot. Well, in this Dirac space, hyperspace, devices run cold. So
yeah, that's what's unique about our technology. We don't have to worry about it heating up.
Right. So we can utilize that cold operating temperature. Okay, so what happens near or at 0 point? Well, for one thing, you have this Cooper pair formation that occurs. And on the left side here, you have the Cooper pair, which are just 2 electrons counter-rotating. Lattice forces force the electrons in that configuration. So you have the cancellation of mass occurring here with the counter rotation, and then with the opposing field action with the south-south configuration here, for example, that is where your negative energy, that opens up that's your gateway to negative energy. And this is why these Cooper pairs can operate above 0 point, okay? Because otherwise, to the right here with electron-positron pairs and the electromagnetic ether, this pair can only operate at 0 point, not above, not below. And that's why physics knows that, well, you have this perturbation phenomena occurring at 0 point where things come in and out of reality. All that it's doing is going in and out of dimensions right there at 0 point. So you have this jostling occurring at 0 point. And that, of course, are your electron-positron pairs moving in and out of, you know, going between real space and complex space. And of course, they're polarized. Okay, you have this north-south configuration. And of course, they have no mass. There is no mass there. So you have this, this counter-rotation phenomena occurring that nullifies the effect of mass. But yet, it's a polarized particle, which means that it can come in the presence of an electron and transfer angular momentum from that electron, forming what's called a photon. And that's what a photon is this angular momentum that's being passed from epos to epos to epos. All right. And it forms it's literally flux lines. So flux lines, yes, they are for real. And it's formed from this epos, okay, passing angular momentum from epos to epos. And this phenomena can only occur at 0 point. All right, so going on here, vacuum polarization. I was just talking about that. This is where you're, okay, for an electric field, you have this phenomena that occurs. Okay, you have these flux lines where you have this alignment of the electromagnetic ether. And where this energy starts to get passed, this angular momentum, is where this alignment occurs, okay, because it's sitting there passing energy from the electron to a positive source here, to a positron, for example. And it's transferring real angular momentum. That is a photon. And same phenomena occurs when you have opposing field action. And that's what I show here with magnets. So you can have this polarization phenomena occurring with electric charge and also with magnetic fields. You have these literally flux lines forming in the vacuum. And of course, when you take the divergence of the magnetic field, okay, then you get, it's always equal to 0. But wait a minute, you can have a monopole with this cancellation occurring here. Well, you can't really have monopoles because what's occurring is the field is actually curling right into hyperspace. So this arrangement is still true when you take the divergence of a complex magnetic field.
Now we're saying hyperspace, but another word for that would be fourth dimension.
Well, it's the 3 dimensions.
But then it goes
Dirac hyperspace.
But when it goes into the hyperspace,
the 4th dimension is time. The 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensions is higher space.
Okay, so the higher space dimension,
yeah,
when it turns, it goes into that higher space dimension, correct? Where you can't measure it
right.
anymore.
Well, when you do the calculations, you discovered you're working with complex magnetic fields. All right, you're working with complex magnetic fields.
Okay.
And of course, when you compute the energy, the field energy, you find, well, that's negative energy. So you know you're working with Dirac complex space. So with vacuum polarization, electrons in attractive configuration.
Who's that a picture
magnetic field, I found that on here.
What do you have to put up the picture?
This is where you force. You have to apply a force.
Is that him grunting?
On magnets in order to get access to the negative energy realm. You have to apply an opposing force action.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's not going to happen naturally. No.
And that's what emits out of these opposing magnetic fields is a complex field. Because you'll notice when you start measuring that magnetic field component, it almost completely vanishes. Okay, when you force these 2 magnets together, the field on the face of those magnets, it virtually vanishes. That's because the field is curling right into hyperspace. The field is still there, it's just that it curled right into hyperspace. So now you're working with complex magnetic fields. And that, by the way, is in our provisional patent, where I do talk about that. So that's the essence of our technology here. Electron opposing configuration, magnetic field of EPOS is negative. Okay. Faster than light. The objective for faster light is to overcome Einstein's speed barrier of special relativity. And how we do that is by nullification of the mass component, okay, of the mass. For example, with electrons. Electrons have this mass component right outside the electron, which is the angular momentum, that is your energy. And that is what we're essentially canceling. We're canceling out the real mass component. And you see this phenomena occurring with opposing magnetic field action. The real field vanishes. Okay? It's just that it's curling right into hyperspace. So this is how we get past the special relativity barrier for faster than light travel, is to nullify the mass component by setting up this opposing field action. And of course, that was actually worked on back in the 1950s. This is where we get into the secret space program. This article here on this page, G engines are coming. This article here is really about Bill Lear and Learjet. And I talk about that. Where do I talk about that? Right here. And this slide is where I talk about this article, the G engines are coming. This was back in the mid-50s. November of 56 is when this article came out. And it talks about anti-gravity engines working without fuel, weightless airliners and spaceships able to travel at the speed of light. Gravity research has been supported by Lear Incorporated. This is actually written in the article. Who would not spend millions of dollars on science fiction. William Lear is already figuring out gravity control. Now, who was the real brains behind this, developing this technology? I mean, it really wasn't Bill Lear. He was sponsoring someone to do this.
Exactly.
Okay. And that fellow's by the name of Larry Wilson. Larry Wilson was a researcher. And who told me about the story of Larry Wilson? Well, it's Dan Davidson, who is alive today.
And of course, his son, William Lear's son,
John Lear.
John Lear.
Talks
I've
about
interviewed
this.
him many times.
Yeah, it does talk about
and
this.
He talks about all this.
Right. Now, Larry Wilson, the guy who knew Larry Wilson was Dan Davidson. And Dan Davidson is giving a presentation at the Extraordinary Technology Conference this year in July.
I hope
he
everybody
knew
can
Larry
come to
Wilson
this.
when Dan was a kid back in the 50s. He used to go over to Larry Wilson's house and check out all the cool stuff that Larry Wilson was playing with. And of course, one of them was anti-gravity. And Larry Wilson had this device of counter-rotating opposing field device. He set it on the floor. And Dan said this thing floated right off the ground just at a few thousand RPM.
The problem was back then, they didn't have the advanced computer ability that we have today to write the software to control the energy.
Well, that's right, Aurora, but he was just demonstrating the effect.
Right. But back then, there was no way they could write the software to control that kind of energy.
And so Larry Wilson wrote all this, or Dan Davidson wrote this all up in an email. I have the email that talks about Larry Wilson's work. Okay, so going back to the slide here, the Boyd-Bushman experiment. Very interesting. David Sereda made a movie, interviewing Boyd-Bushman. And he did this experiment where he took opposing magnets, neodymiums, forced them together and bolted them. And he dropped them down an elevator shaft at Lockheed. Okay, so he took a rock and then he had this opposing field action. And every time he did this, and he had witnesses that signed this paper saying, yeah, this thing is for real, he found out that every time the opposing magnetic field configuration here actually fell slower than a normal control rock. And so I said, okay, because the thing, you know, if it was just mass modification, Aurora, if it was just mass modification, it doesn't matter when you drop this down an elevator shaft. Okay, it's all going to fall at the same speed, whatever the mass is. Okay, so there was something else going on here. There was another dimension added to this, and I determined that it's not only affecting the mass, but it's also affecting the gravitational constant, the big G.
It's the vortex factor.
Okay, it's changing the gravitational constant, the big G.
Right, it's creating when you create a vortex, you do shift everything.
Okay, so I came along, replicated Boyd-Bushman experiment, made the same discovery, saying, yeah, opposing magnetic fields fall slower. And then I replicated the experiment, or I didn't replicate, I introduced a new experiment there, dropping magnets in the attractive configuration, and discovered that it fell faster. So what does that mean? That means that we can literally engineer the gravitational constant. It's not really a constant. It's an engineerable variable. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it has to do with the flux being produced by a magnet. You know, the angular momentum is actually a mass. It's a mass field that is flowing at the speed of light. All right, it's angular momentum being transferred from epos to epos at the speed of light, and it's essentially a mass field, and you can calculate that. In my calculations, I determined that yeah, this is a mass field, which can very well probably explain dark energy around these galaxies. That it's actually angular momentum being transferred in the vacuum that is a mass moving at the speed of light. So there is.
Can I interrupt just for a moment, please?
Yeah, go right ahead.
We know that when we drop a neodymium magnet through a copper pipe, it falls much slower.
Right.
And you show on your picture here, not just an elevator shaft, that you might have interference from the side walls of the shaft similar to the copper pipe. Did you find that even in open space, when you did this, that you sort of showed slowing of the fall, of the descent, that it's not dependent of the walls?
Well, the person up here doing the dropping had to extend himself over, you know, over the wall here. And I have this on video. I actually have this on video. And the field of the magnets actually, well, they only extend a few feet from the magnets. So is there an interaction between the walls and the magnet?
Well, first of all, that elevator shaft is on the other side of that building. It's not on that side where you're dropping it.
Well, no, Michael did this.
You're right. I'm just saying the elevator shaft isn't right there on that side of the building. It's on the other side of the building.
Right.
So it's not right behind that wall.
Right.
The elevator shaft is on the other side of the building.
Okay, so there's a video of doing this drop experiment, and you can actually see the objects fall slower when it's in the opposing configuration and fall faster when it's in the attractive configuration. So I figure that, well, we're changing the gravitational constant here. So we're having an interaction with the vacuum.
I think that you're seeing the chimney there.
Chimney?
Yeah, the chimney that was up next to him.
No, this is part of the building.
Yeah. It might be.
I don't know, is that a chimney there?
Yeah, I think they did have a chimney down there at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well.
But, you know, it's an experiment that anyone can replicate here.
Exactly.
You know, you just got to find a place to do it. Okay. And there is a video, I think, on our website that shows this experiment. Okay, so knowing this is that now we can build what's called an Alcubierre warp drive. And this is going to be the subject of my lecture this summer at the Coffee Conference. I'll be talking about developing practical warp drive engine technology, all based on this. And the fundamental concept here is, of course, the Alcubierre warp drive, which was presented back in, when was that, 1995. Miguel Alcubierre presented this concept. So I'll be talking about that this summer. Okay, so the Wilson-Lear lifter, getting back to this. Of course, Wilson-Lear was the developer. Bill Lear was the money behind it. And he built this device. And this is what Dan Davidson talked about a few years ago. I believe this was in 2012, where he talked about counter-rotating opposing field action, okay, with this device. So this is a little picture that Dan Davidson drew of the device. Okay, and this is an email that Dan Davidson sent me. So when the discs were properly tuned, the whole affair would lift off the floor of the lab, and Dan said it would only require a few thousand RPM. A field of energy was visible around the disc. So he was definitely tapping into this negative energy, this 0 point where you would see an illumination, you know, around these discs, this ambient light. Okay, I also do demonstrations here in our lab. So if you want to visit us in Scottsdale, you may do so. On the left here, I'm in process of replicating this Wilson-Lear device. And this is device here on the left. I'll be showing this at the conference. I did this all on a 3D printer, printing out all these parts. And it shows counter-rotating opposing fields. And of course, this is to the right here, this is a little mobile I built last year. I was actually showing this at the conference. This generates a very minute force. I also took a video of this too. It generates a very minute force. This is an implementation of the Alcubierre warp drive, where you have attractive magnet in front of the device, opposing field action behind the device, and that produces a tiny thrust, a very small, tiny thrust. I had 4 of these in an array. Right now I'm in process of building a big one using big 4-inch magnets for this.
That's amazing, Bill.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's perpetual motion. This is an actual device that
And
would
there it is, the
exhibit
direct number to the
perpetual
launching,
motion.
the direct number to the launching pad. If you can leave
And
it up there on the
this is
screen
our
for a
contact
second.
info. Now I have to do this in
And,
20 minutes.
yeah, good luck.
It's going to be the challenge.
That will be the challenge for you, because the first page,
Bill,
I
I
think,
did
was 10
say
minutes.
you do have a bit more time. It's okay. Yeah, this is so interesting, and it's you're talking our language. It's free energy. That's the purpose of this meeting anyway. So go on, and you're spot on with what you do.
Okay, I have to sign off tonight. You know, right now we're getting ready for this conference. And
thank you for the opportunity of networking, and we really appreciate all that you do.
Oh,
so
thank you. Likewise, we appreciate all that you do as well. I think we are going to succeed by and by this time round, huh?
Yeah, well, you know, your chance to get involved is now in selling stock at $1 a share. And this is seed money for us to finish development and go to sale.
Right.
$50 million coming through the door, $50 million offers. But I have to say this, you know, it's very important to us to keep this in the hands of people who want to see this planet turn into a golden age here for everyone on planet Earth.
Absolutely.
The suffering, the war, the, you know, all the stuff that's been going on for so long, and get into the real world of making this planet work for everybody, because it's not going to just work for some people. You know, it's never going to work that way. It's got to be a worldwide emancipation of mankind.
Right.
Yeah, and I have to say it's very important to be careful about who surrounds these projects, because there are a lot of like who I call the cabal or the secret government.
Well, that's why we've only sold stock. You can only buy 150,000 shares at $1 a share. That's the limit. And
are you able to recognize someone who would be on?
Well, first of all, they want to come in with 50 million, you know, they make the big offers, and I've already turned them down because of the connections that they had with the military and CIA and FBI and all that stuff. So I had to say no, but we welcome people who, and from 1,000 shares to 150,000 shares. That is the window of opportunity now available. And those people get in line first for sales, distribution, things like that in the future. So this is a short window of opportunity at $1 a share that's left in the company, because we're about it to go into sales, and then it won't be $1 a share anymore.
Okay. So, Bill, you've stopped screen share now. That's okay. Now, did you say that you're in a rush and you have to go?
Right. We're getting ready for this conference next week.
I see.
So I'm kind of putting everything together.
He wants to get this patent filed before we take off.
Sure.
Yeah, I was right there in the middle of filing this provisional.
Right.
He's
I must say,
electronic submission.
Mm-hmm. I must say, we are very impressed with what you do. I mean, thank you for your talk with the PowerPoint presentation. That's so impressive.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of this information's in Hodson's paper, and you know,
I'm sure our listeners and our viewers would really appreciate all those pictures and diagrams and the explanation on your PowerPoint that you had presented in FESIG today. And it's recorded for all to see, and I'm sure, you know, and you are easily accessible as well with all those links that I put on our site. Okay, so any questions from the floor?
Well, I just wanted to invite everybody who wants to come in and invest to come in for a demonstration and see what we're doing here. That's how we've gotten a lot of our investors who are engineers and, you know, and who have been in the tech business or in sales around the world. They've come in, gotten a demo from us of our technology, and then invested many times. It's worked that way. So I would suggest anybody who wants to get away for a couple days and come to Scottsdale, Arizona, beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, I might add, get in touch with us so that we can help make it happen.
Aurora, I'll take you up on that. We have our own team here that is looking into the finance part of things and funding.
Well, good. Have them contact me so we can talk about it.
We will in due time.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and for now, I'm sure it's going to happen and a snowball very soon. Yeah, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, that we might have some good news soon. Actually, we are having it already. It's just a matter of time that we are going to put the structures in the proper places. Then
good. I just hope you're not waiting for the Saint Germain Foundation, because all my friends have been waiting for 4 decades.
No, we're not waiting for that. I mean, we got other things coming in. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the Arduino. Other things that we've been talking about for 4 decades.
I seriously have New Age friends who think that, you know, they're going to get a check in the mail.
Right. Okay. Right now, if anybody has any questions, this is the time before Aurora and Bill leaves to prepare
I
for
want
the
to thank
conference.
you all for having us on. It's been a pleasure, and we're going to run now.
Now,
Because
before
I've
you
gotta
run,
get going.
Aurora,
Bill's got a few things to do.
can I just link you up with James? If you would like to look at James Ring's site, supersoldiertalk.com. James, would you like to say hi to Aurora? And then, no, and this is what we were talking about earlier, about the secret space program, about technologies that we could glean from, some aha moments from those.
Well, we're going to have to go now. We haven't had any dinner yet, and Bill's got a couple hours worth of work left.
Oh, okay, right. It's been a pleasure
We're
having
pressed
you
for
here.
time tonight, so please accept our apology.
Yeah, it's okay, and it's really wonderful having you here. And anytime you feel like coming back, and if you got any updates, you're most welcome.
Absolutely, we'll talk to you after the conference.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aurora. Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Have a wonderful time at the conference, and all the best.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Okay, so we will continue at FESIG with the rest of us here, right? So, Fras, what do you think? I mean, this is amazing, isn't it? What Bill has shared from his PowerPoint presentation.
The counter-rotating discs come out of Victor Schauberger's work during World War II, and there was when he was incarcerated by the Nazis, and the 3 plates, each one rotating, one rotating one way and then the other 2 rotating the opposite. And the device that they had built while he was in the concentration camp, while he was away from the lab, somebody turned it on and it lifted and destroyed a big hole in the top of the lab. So the computation was that this small device had several thousand pounds of lift to it, and it was basically counter-rotating plates. Some of the work that I'm working on is, instead of rotating magnetic plates and that kind of stuff, we're using rotating opposite direction electrical currents. And so we're running into some of the same oddities that he talks about, and it's actually slowed us up because we're trying to understand what we're looking at. And so it seems like it doesn't matter whether it's a magnetic field or electric field, the counter rotation of vibration. And it's interesting because go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about the Learjet technologies. Well, and a friend of mine's been working with John Lear in the UK, but apparently nothing exciting there on that front. So we'll see. I mean, I'll have to keep in touch with her as well and see what's up, and probably bring them here to FESIG too. So we'll see. Anyway. Is there anything anybody wants to add to the equation here?
I'm curious about something in terms of the way to bring out these technologies. There's, on one side, there's the idea of patenting technologies, and then having investors and like building a business around it. And then there's also the idea of having it like open source available for everyone, because if the technology is patented, then it's only one person, one group who can produce it, and it's very easy to stop it. So I have your thoughts on that.
Precisely. Yes, we got to give that a lot of thought. Yeah, of course, in FESIG, we are encouraging open source, which we have been doing all along. Yeah,
because he gave a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. But these are, if these are things that are patented, these are not things that like you'll be able to do yourself.
Mm-hmm. But there again, inventors who have been working all their lives and dedicating so much and sacrifice so much, of course, they want to patent it for themselves. Yeah, well, needless to say, So I guess, FESIG is open to, if funding comes in, I mean, I wouldn't say if, I mean, it's quite certain now, then we will have to consider those, and we are open to choices, really, basically. I mean, those who want to do open source, of course, they are not taking risks of the danger of being murdered or killed or whatever, you may name it, being stopped. And those who wanted to do the patents, it's also fine with us. I'm sure.
And the question that I have here, and it's really bring deeper reflection, is, well, first of all, in the projects that we're doing here, do you want to do that open source, patented, or a mix in between? What's the exact strategy that you want to implement? And also, second question is, out of what he's been sharing, what actually can we implement? Because when something is patented, then others cannot duplicate these technologies.
Etienne, we will have to be flexible here. As I said, it's choices, really. We can't put our foot down and say, hey, you got to go open source on this for our own safety and for this and that, for security, whatever. We can't actually really force people to make a choice here. As I said, they've been developing this all their lives, and there's been a lot of sacrifice, and they may choose to keep it for themselves. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you, the effort, the efforts you're putting. Phrase, I'm more talking about also that's a question I have. Is FESIG just people coming together, or the founding is for the organization of FESIG as an entity with its own vision and strategy? It's how do these different components fit together?
Anything at all is I mean, it's fine, because we can always structure something. Anything is negotiable. We can always sit by the table and say, okay, FESIG would like to support you in this area, and we could possibly channel some funds for that particular area, and we would like to be involved on this area. So how are we going to negotiate the segment of the pie in the whole pie chart of the equity stocks or whatever, things like that. I guess it can be worked out.
There's a part of negotiating with partners, but there's another part that your vision of what you're creating needs to be clear.
Yeah, what we are concerned about is, what we are looking for is something that really works, something that is going to make a difference for humanity. All right, we're not interested in having a grip or control on anybody's devices or technology. No, we just want to assist them and pave a way so they can be successful in bringing these technologies to humanity. Yeah.
And now we're talking about logistics, and the message I'm getting is that we need to start with the end in mind. When we focus on the end, then all of the details fall into place automatically.
Yes.
Very good point.
That's a great thought that we are working on. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Etienne, we will have to have a special executive council meeting soon. Okay. Then we will discuss all these nitty-gritties, all these details. That will be in alignment with our mission statement in the FESIG site, and we will fine-tune some of them so that we are more in alignment with our divine mission as well, and what we have come here to do in the first place. Right now, that's very good thinking, and we're going into the right direction there. The open source will be a lot easier, because then we don't have to get these accountants and the financial structure in place and the legalities of all those ownership stuffs and copyrights and all that sort of stuff, which is quite tedious. Yeah. Of course, we can work things out because with funds, we will be able to hire and employ the people who are specializing on these expertise areas.
The main concern I have that there's a lot of inventors who have been working on patenting technologies like that. I mean, you can think of Tesla. He brought out a lot of patents, but none of them came out to the public. When it's patented stuff, it has been very easy to stop these projects.
Sure.
None of them came out after 50 years.
Sure. I have a question.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in real quick. I'll jump in real quick on this. Some of the things that we look at FESIG, you can try to take and put a patent together. I had an invention back in 1979, and we developed a device, and we made 2 of them in the prototypes, and then we went to start to patent it and realized that we had a 3 to 5 year process to get it patented. Then there was a underwriter's laboratory patent that, okays for basically product liability insurance. Without it, you don't get it. And so it was a 7 to 10 year process. And at that point, we realized that we had just basically began our processes as inventors in getting it to patent. And so we just shelved and we took our devices and used it ourselves. And it was about 5 years later, my co-inventor buddy said, "Hey, I want to say something. Our device is now on market." And it was by one of the companies that would have been coupled to their device, and it was the next logical step. I says, it's okay. I mean, I'm glad that somebody is to market, and it's the company that has the rest of the machinery it goes to. We go to open source for FESIG. One of the things that we can do to be very important to the world is to be an educational source, and we bring together top educators to present how to do these devices so that you're not making something for somebody else. They can actually make the device themselves. And most of the stuff we're looking at is looking almost what you can do in your garage. So even the devices that I'm working on, we have no thought of actually producing these for anybody else. It's much better for you to provide it, to do the building of it yourself for each and every one person. So,
yeah, may I suggest that we all stay back after this meeting, after I wrap it up and stop the recording, so we can go deeper into these issues. But for the time being, I just want to, Fraz, you made a very good point there. It's a long process to get it really patented and copyrighted and trademark or whatever you need to, in the legality of things and the paperwork. Okay, I have a question here for Etienne and James. At this point of time, okay, now all these are constructs of the controller's agenda. We all know that for a fact, the financial institution, the legality of things. In the 5th dimensional level, that we are evolving into, we don't need all this. We don't need to do all this, all right? But for the time being, we're still in the 3D matrix, and we still have to abide by all these structures and systems. So what say you, Etienne, James, if the cabal has already been, they've been stopped in their agenda, and we are getting more and more of the freedom that we seek here. We are getting more successful in the work that we do here in our university. So then, is there a necessity in having this control issue thing with what we come up with, as all is in the ethers, and we're getting these ideas and all that from the cellular memories or channel or sophisticated technologies that is from the other races and all that. So what is there to say this is mine, that's and all that, the copyright issues and all. What do you think?
A quote that I saw many years ago that's coming to my mind is, what ignorance to pretend to be the author of our own creations.
Yeah. Right. Right. So it's a lot to do about nothing, really. Basically, that's how I feel. You know, when we are evolving towards a consciousness where all is one, one is all. What is mine is yours. What's yours is mine. I think we would just come to that level soon. So it's a lot to do with nothing really, and it's so much time wasted doing all that paperwork, all that filing for this and that, copyright, trademarking, and all.
And these are really like these are systems of the control systems of the cabal.
Exactly.
We cannot bring these new technologies through the old systems. We need to bring these new technologies and build a new global system that reflect that higher consciousness.
That is the point I'm making, because this is the constructs of the control matrix by the by the archons. So James, do you have any ideas here? How do we go forward with this if they have already been defeated, as some of the off-planet news that come in? Then what's left and remain are those soldiers, I wouldn't say soldiers, I mean those who are working for them, who are still continuing with the work and not realizing that they are free. So you know what I'm saying here, James? What do you think?
Yeah, so I guess you want a proposal for this getting free energy technology out without people getting whacked?
Yeah. To put it simply, you got it? I like the way you put it. Very mildly.
And what I'll say is, I mean, the cabal is dropping in power at very, very, very fast pace, but they will still, I believe they will still continue to exist until about 2033, but like they're just falling down, like gradually fading out throughout that period.
That's still a long time yet.
But here's the problem, is that the carbon cycle on the planet is dying. The oceans are dying from not only the plastic, but also the Fukushima radiation. If the CO2 levels start building up and the plankton life form dies off and the ocean life forms die off, that's what basically cleanses the air so we can breathe oxygen. Our planet will overheat and it will burn up. And John Titor, who claims he worked at Area 51 and time traveled from the year 1970 to 2050, said in 2050 in Atlanta, there were gangs roaming the streets everywhere, and the rich, the elite, all lived in private communities because basically the planet was dying. The ocean's already raised 150 feet, so basically there wasn't very many, just the cities inland. But that is one parallel reality that we can enter to. But there's also another one, ascension reality, where if we somehow can get these technologies out, the problem is like so many people have said that, how do we get around the cabal without people getting killed? Maybe low-tech solutions, not necessarily something that you can build in your home, because a lot of people don't have shops. I just don't think that's practical, but something really low-tech that can maybe be built in a third world nation, perhaps, one that's not so sympathetic to the cabal. I don't know which nations that would be, because the Rothschilds control every central bank except North Korea, Iran. I think those are only two now. It used to be Libya as well, but so, and we can already pretty much count the North Koreans out because they're in the hands of the Clinton Foundation, because the Clintons have accounts in North Korea, apparently. So, and the Iranians, they're apparently they're in the timeline where John Titor, when he traveled to 2050, he said in 2018 the Iranians dropped a nuclear bomb over London, Paris, Washington D.C., and Tel Aviv, and that basically is what destroyed the oceans. So I don't foresee we'll see that in our timeline because it's already been averted. But when I say that, the Iranian officials have, Hillary Clinton isn't our president. That's what I mean. That's how it's been averted in that timeline. Yeah. Yep. But anyway, so. Okay, I hope I answered
That
your
is
question
something,
now.
yeah, that is something that is going to be, well, I say doable. It's just that it's going to take a while, because if we're going to places that are not so controlled by the cabal, then again we are compromising or the infrastructure basis that would enable these technologies to flow smoother and faster and to get it out to humanity. Infrastructure is very important. Well, I guess we have to weigh out and brainstorm more on how we can get this out without.
I have a few things to say.
Goodness.
And we have to let go of the idea that it's a group of people who are like all powerful and like there's nothing you can do about them. They're going to stop you. I mean, they lost England, they lost the United States. Trump is in power. Brexit. They're about to lose France. Now they're trying to create civil war in France to not lose France and the other European countries in the domino effects. I mean, like Trump proved that someone from the outside with a different agenda can go ahead and make his plans happen.
Yeah, well said, Etienne. I like that. And
not run, and you don't need to hide from them. I mean,
exactly. I think we've been so conditioned with fear that we are stuck with the fear thought. You're right. That's the point you're making.
You cannot operate.
Yeah.
You cannot operate from a place of fear.
Yeah.
However, you have to be fully aware of and very vigilant of all of the traps that they might. All of the ways that they create interference, that they try to make different traps. For example, there's one guy that I met who has like very interesting technologies and had all kind of other technologies with free energies and stuff. And his wife was a handler, and like he has very solid investors team, except that the people like the biggest people in his investors team are of the cabal. So he was completely surrounded and he was completely dependent on these people. So that's the kind of trap that they make. You have to be very, very vigilant of how do they operate, what kind of traps they set, and you have to be able to see it ahead of time.
Certainly, yeah. Like Aurora was saying that if investors have approached her, she will scan them and she will be very selective, and she say no to a lot of money that's being offered to her because she knew that it's coming from a cabal source.
Number two is your protection comes from God by working with God, and you need to have that spiritual protection and immunity. And that protection basically comes from three things: from your alignment, from your integrity, from your spine.
Sure, you said
when you set your spine with integrity and alignment, there's nothing that they can do about you. They will try to mislead people, to psychically influence them, like they'll try all kind of things, but if you stand in that protection, there's nothing that they can do about you.
Wonderful.
Trump is really not in a very like loving space, but still they're not able to stop him.
Yep. Right. So it seems like I have to wrap up the meeting, but please stay behind because we're going to have a brainstorming session, okay? Right. I have to wrap up meeting and stop the recording because we have to discuss this in depth, right? So we have to come up with some strategies to get things flowing smoothly, and we have work to do. We're going to be very busy. So, okay, now I've got to go around the table because now I'm going to wrap up the meeting. As I said, Etienne, if you have anything to say before I stop the recording, please say quickly, and then we move on and we close the meeting and adjourn it. And then, Etienne. No, this is for the public recording. Okay. You say all that you said. Right.
Okay, is there, okay, just ask if anyone has any message to ask through me, but like nothing's coming. Okay,
you said it all because you said the three points that is enabling protection fully, the integrity, and the other one is alignment with God, and the third one is spine. Well done. So
I already said a lot. Like I said a lot of things in the in this call, but it's about applying it.
That's good. Yeah, take note, everybody. So that's the protection for you. Thanks, Etienne. Now we move to Fres. Fres.
Alrighty. One of the things that we've noticed the last 3 weeks with the team is the increase in psychic abilities in the line of communications between members. It's really quite interesting. One of us will come up with something, and then the next morning, somebody else will start the discussion, and they go, I got this idea. It was the middle of the night. Like, yeah, we got this idea. It was the middle of the night, and it's been very, very exciting. So moving forward, nothing more to report right now. We're doing some work on the car units. We've run into some interesting things. The devices that work well on other cars don't work well on the second car. It's like, you know, we're finding more variables than we thought were there. So that's fun and exciting. But the same thing is going on with other teams around the world on the car units. They're running into the same odd dilemma that it'll work on one car, you take it off, put it onto another car, it doesn't work. You do a different tweak on it, and it'll work on the car that didn't work before, and it's just a different device. So we don't really know what's causing the differences, but it's very exciting. And that's it for today.
Thank you, Fres. Now we move on to James. James, any last words for the public for this meeting?
No, I don't really have anything other to say. Thank you, Chewy, Crystal, for doing all this work, because
thank you. Uh-oh. James froze out.
He just got abducted.
Yeah. By the Orions. But sorry, I don't mean to be wicked. James, come back.
Wouldn't be the first time they abduct him live in camera.
I'm not meant to be thanked. Kidding. All right, Ron, you next, Ron. Ron? Ron! Hey, bro. Okay, Ron has been muted. I'm sorry, Ron. Unmute you. There you go. Ron! Hey.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I was looking at something at all that link that was put on there, you know, about his what was it, Newtonian physics, I think was the title of it, or whatever. The man that was just talking a few minutes ago. Anyway, no, I don't really have anything per se as far as energy, other than something that I have recently started trying myself. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Shilajit.
Oh,
but,
would you type that in the chat box?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, Shilajit is something that comes from the Himalayas. It's like a black tar, and it's not cheap.
It's not black goo, is it? Black tar.
Well, it's just like black tar. It's exactly right. That's the way it is, and it is something that's very healthy to take. It's I discovered it of all places. I think it was one of the channelings that Higher Self produced. I think it was on one of hers, and I ordered it and I've tried it. And I've been on it for a few days now.
Wow, how do you feel?
And another thing that I started taking, pumpkin seed oil, which is supposed to be one of the best oils on the planet.
Wow. And
I'm not using it for cooking. All I'm doing is just adding a little bit of it to some fruit juice. So it isn't being used as a cooking oil.
Thanks, Ron, for the recommendation. So all who are listening in, do get into that. How do you spell that again? Because I don't think they can see the chat. So let's I'll read it out. Black tar.
I'll have to get.
It looks like black tar, but it's not black goo. It's something else. Good.
The spelling on shilajit is Shilajit.
Shilajit. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and that comes from the Himalayas, and it's the outfit that I got it from is supposed to be the purest one. It's called Lotus Blooming Herbs, and I got it on Amazon. Lotus Blooming Herbs is the company, and supposedly there's a lot of it on the market, but very little of it is extremely pure.
Right. Thanks.
But what you do is you just take a tiny amount of it and add it to something like hot tea, and melt it along with honey or sugar or whatever you're using in your tea, and.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you for the recommendation.
Okay.
Right, so we get back to James. James back. Yes, James, you were saying. You dropped off.
I'm done.
James?
Sorry, my internet dropped. Right, I was about ready to talk. Yeah. Right. So, yeah. So I was thanking you, and then I just wanted to say, I think if we could somehow maybe just set up operations, maybe in a third world nation, set up some kind of low technology version, maybe something that's based on solar energy, that would be 80% efficient or higher. We can mix it with some other technology that would be mix of both, and maybe we could sell systems like this to put on people's homes. That would probably be a good place to start. Some of these more exotic systems are going to take probably a work of Trump.
Yeah,
to get out.
You're right. And you did, okay, hang on a minute. I was going to say, you mean the low-tech stuffs that people can do and make by themselves at home and have cottage industry,
No, you're not going to be able to make
source?
this type of stuff. Not like a solar panel type system, but I mean, maybe we can combine the technology with something else that would be a lot more exotic. So that way we could market it as a solar panel, but it's actually one that's it's really an over Unity device.
Right. That's a good idea. Okay, we can brainstorm on that and go deeper after this meeting, but stay on. Don't go away, okay? And I'm going to wrap up the meeting now. So everybody has said their piece. Now that there's no other business, this meeting is now adjourned to the 31st FESIG meeting. That will be held on the 15th of March. And the following, in 2 Wednesdays' time. Okay, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and for listening in and watching our recordings. And I can tell you that you can be rest assured that we are surely and steadily moving towards the direction of achieving our goals. And stay with us, okay? And thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording.
Also?
Hang on a minute.
The meeting on the 15th will be at the same time?
The same time, yeah. The next 2 meetings will be at the same time. Is there any difficulty with that timing, James?
No.
Is that all right with you? Okay.